You're tuned into Taiwan Grooves. Let's explore the local music scene. Hello and welcome to Taiwan Grooves. Today we're joined by another talented artist, OneTrackMind, a self-taught fingerstyle guitarist and classically trained pianist based in Taipei. She's known for her calming and introspective one-take acoustic guitar instrumentals. OneTrackMind explores melodies shaped by global journey from Hong Kong, UK, and Canada. Alongside recording original music, she also performs live keyboard improvisations with Formosa Improv Group, also known as FIG. So please put your hands together and let's welcome Holly in the studio, as we will also explore her background and the origin behind the latest album at the time of recording called Patience.
It's all improv from now on, but you're familiar with that. All right. Holly, would you like to say hi to our listeners and introduce yourself in very simple sentences?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, my name is Holly. I am originally from Hong Kong and I've been in Taiwan for almost a couple years. I am a musician. I am fingerstyle guitarist, self-taught. I also grew up playing piano like a lot of Hong Kong children. So, yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. All right, you mentioned fingerstyle guitar and piano. Immediately thinking of, how long did you play piano for, or are you still playing? And how did you make the transition to guitar?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I started playing piano when I was about 4 years old. I actually saw my brother taking lessons first, and it looked cool. So I asked my parents, like, can I also take lessons?
Wow.
Not knowing what I was signing up for. Because in Hong Kong, the system there, or what's generally accepted, is that kids would go through this really rigorous examination system. Back in the day, it was the ABRSM, so it's like Associated Board of Royal Schools of Music, colonial, like British entity. And so, yeah.
So there's no fun piano. It's like you either go all in or...
Yeah, it was kind of... very serious, like, first taste of music.
Right.
So I started at age 4 and I took lessons up until age 12. And throughout that process, I had to take exams every couple of years. You would ascend like a grade level all the way up to grade 8. And then before that, you also would have to take like a theory exam, which I was really bad at because it was very, very mathematical. A lot of like transposing.
Classical,
yeah, very classical. To me, it was just all math, and I resisted it a lot, but I had to push through it to, I guess, finish the exam system. And so after that, I was very intent to not go through that system again.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but the good thing that resulted from that foray into music learning was just like a pretty strong foundation. Is with regards to just like music theory and just being exposed to different styles of music, like listening skills, and that made me interested in like maybe picking up a different instrument. And my dad's side of the family is very musical, and he and his brothers would always have guitars lying around the house. Or when I visited my uncle's houses, they would like always show me their latest guitar acquisition.
All acoustic? Or both?
It was mostly acoustic. Yeah, because my dad and his brothers, I think they played folk during their university years. There was one uncle, my Uncle Raymond, he was more of like a rocker and he had his own thing going on. But which is all to say, like, I grew up around a lot of music, and just out of curiosity and convenience, because they were just lying around, I picked up guitar. My dad had a couple of chord books lying around, and so I just taught myself. And then over time, during high school, I joined a couple of bands with my friends. When I was in high school, I was part of an all-girl pop-punk band. We were called Frozen Rose.
So
yeah. It's fun.
So nice.
Yeah.
What happened to Frozen Rose?
Oh my gosh, there are still some like very old videos on YouTube.
Oh, I need to dig in.
Oh my gosh. They're just just snippets from shows that we played back in the day. They're mostly at schools.
Right, but so that was electric guitar, safe to say.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. But okay, so you start with acoustic, self-taught, all that. You join a girl pop punk band. You're all into it. Now, did you not want to or like intend to stay within the genre or like with electric guitar? Because now you play acoustic guitar, all fingerstyle, beautiful melodies. There's some percussions going on. So like it's a bit different from what you were doing. Now, how did you make that leap towards? Was there Andy McKee or John Butler was his name? Were these guys playing any role in your development style?
Yeah, another great question. I guess to begin with, as a teenager, I always wanted to be in a band. I thought it was the coolest thing. And I guess between the ages of like 14 and 18, that was just like a very formative time of just discovering music via Napster and like early days of YouTube.
Yeah.
And so, I definitely played mainly rhythm guitar for this band, but we were busy with school and didn't have much time to rehearse. And famously, one of our band members from Frozen Rose, she was just like, I quit because this band isn't taking, band practice seriously enough. Like,
she's not fulfilling her potential there.
Exactly. She was like, don't you guys know that Nirvana practices, or they practice like 5 times a week?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. So Frozen Rose sadly disbanded.
Remain frozen.
Yeah, we froze. Yeah. And then when I went to university, because I lived in dorm rooms, at least for the first year, and I still wanted to play guitar. So I just brought my acoustic guitar from Hong Kong. I went to university in the UK. And because of like noise restrictions, I just decided to play quietly. And throughout that time, I got more and more interested or into just like playing acoustic and developing this, I guess, quite unique style, which can't really be placed genre-wise. Yeah, I just really enjoyed experimenting with different tunings. I grew up listening to a lot of like alternative, like indie bands who would mess around with tunings. They never played with standard tunings. And I thought, oh, what would it be like to do this with an acoustic guitar? And then during that time, I also discovered, not Andy McKee actually, but Kaki King. So yeah, a female guitarist, fingerstyle, developed a very unique sound. I think she plays Ovation guitars. And I saw her live because she came to London when I was a student there, and I was just blown away that there was so much that could be done with one instrument by way of, what you're saying, like melody, percussion. She also played with like another instrumentalist alongside her. He did like sound effects and like more soundscape type things.
Like bird chirping or...
Maybe that was part of it. I don't really recall, but it was like very ambient. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I really enjoyed that, and I was just like, oh, I'm going to keep developing this style.
Yeah, that's a very good transition because, in my head, it's like, okay, I'm going to a dorm, electric guitar and headphones for the minimum noise or something. But then you found the style where you don't have to like strum it with pick all the way up, and then you kind of like didn't follow the band anymore. Because, it's hard to get people to practice at the same time, whereas alone you can just grab it at 2 a.m. and be like, okay, here I go for 1 hour or something.
Yeah.
Very cool. One more question regarding piano skills. Again, we have the same story that we keep hearing from a lot of people, kids being pushed into kind of like classical education. And more than not, unfortunately, I hear that it puts them off from the instrument a little bit. Because you've been through that and you're like, nope, like it's not that enjoyable. But as you say, the foundation really remains, and whoever has been here and had piano, you can see that the theory kind of like transposes over to guitar or whatever music they're making, even some harmony singing. So with that, I would like to ask, was it easy to go from piano to guitar? What were the benefits? Because mechanically it's completely different, right? But with like the chord structure and all these little things that were helpful. So for you, was it difficult to go to metal strings or nylon strings?
Yeah. As you're asking this question, Phil, I'm getting flashbacks to when I was a teenager picking up guitar and just developing calluses on my fingers and asking my dad, like, hey, is it supposed to be this
normal?
painful?
Like, why do you guys do this? It's painful.
Yeah. But it was, necessary, I guess, to just get more comfortable. I remember it was painful for about a month. But yeah, to answer your question about kind of overlaps or transitions from piano to guitar, I think for me personally, the most helpful aspects of my piano education, if you will, was just having a knowledge of like harmony and what chords are, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And kind of just having a sense of like, oh, when I play something on guitar, like what kind of a chord am I creating? Like even just from like major to minor and having these like basic ideas of music, it was helpful for me. And to have the kind of finger dexterity, I guess, because the training that I had with the kind of exam system, like we would have to practice scales, arpeggios. There was a lot of just repetition, a lot of like just having to play things smoothly and with almost this like muscle memory of like the harmony. So that helped with my fingerstyle playing, I guess. But in terms of like the actual, I guess a lot of people are surprised when I say like, oh, I actually don't know what I'm playing on guitar, because my approach is really, really intuitive on guitar. I would say when I play piano, I have more of a clear understanding of what's going on. Like, oh, I'm going from like a C chord to a G chord.
Right.
It's quite defined, but the guitar for me is like a very experimental space.
Right.
And it's very much like, yeah, I'm bringing maybe some techniques from piano, some basic understandings of theory, but my approach with guitar is very like sound-based. If I create like a specific shape with my fingers, it will create like a certain sound, and I'm like, oh, like, how will this shape translate if I move up and down the fretboard? And where do I want this sound to go next?
So nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the piano as you were trained. You kind of know the roadmap. You can envision it. Like, okay, from this chord, I probably should go to this chord and it will sound good. With guitar, it's just like, oh, this sounds good.
Yeah.
That's amazing, though.
Yeah.
I feel like that sounds like all these, I don't know, old bluesmen who learned to play guitar just by ear and doing, like never had any theory, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, oh, yeah, this works because it works, not because there's some underlying theory that I know of.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's very cool. All right, last question about piano, and then we'll put it to rest. Do you still play piano from time to time?
Yes, I do.
Very
I
good.
do. I actually play piano primarily these days as an accompanist for a bilingual improv group that plays in Taipei regularly. They're called the Formosa Improv Group, or FIG for short. And we put on shows first Saturday of every month at a comedy club here in Taipei. So yeah, I got into that through being introduced to FIG through a friend, and I got talking to the group, and I shared that when I lived in Hong Kong years ago, I actually accompanied an improv group back there.
Okay.
So this was like 10, 11 years ago. And
so it wasn't nothing new for you. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't entirely new, but I hadn't done like improvised accompaniment for a decade. But then FIG were incredibly welcoming and inviting, and they were just like, oh, you should just come and run an open workshop about musical improv. And this was a couple years ago, and I agreed, and it was a lot of fun. And from that, I got to know the group a bit more, and they invited me as a guest player to perform with them. And then over time, I joined the group officially as a musician member. And yeah, I really like every month there's like a rotating cast of directors, and each director has their own kind of artistic vision for what kind of show it is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, every time it's something different on top of the actual improvised element itself.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
I need to see this.
You should come. It's really fun.
As we mentioned, you're the Laura Hall of Taipei.
Yes.
From whose line is it anyway? Do you also have similar responsibility for like now they have to sing a pop punk song from the 2000s and now you have to come up with the tune somehow?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's exactly what happens.
So good.
Yeah, so I have a keyboard every show, and there are different sound effects, different voices, different beats, and then depending on what comes up in the scene or based on an audience suggestion, then I might just like lay down a beat or some kind of basic chord structure, and then people will start singing. Yeah, coming up, we're actually doing a show that is a musical, just like a full-on musical, which Fig has never done before. So that will be more demanding of me, I think.
How do you practice for this? You're just going to listen to a couple of musicals and then be like, all right, that's it.
Let's do this. Yeah, I think the preparation will involve just doing a bit of listening and grasping basically like what sounds musical-esque. Different moods.
Maybe you put a suggestions in your own head and then just kind of at home in your bedroom pick out one and be like guys and dolls.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do that, Phil. Maybe I will. That is how I will prepare.
Wow. Much respect goes to you and the whole Fig people, because improv in anything is difficult, but this is next level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's been challenging for me musically in terms of just being very responsive to what's going on dramatically and comedically as well. But yeah, I would say like one of the main reasons I guess I enjoy doing improvised accompaniment is just because it matches my preferred mode of playing music, which is highly intuitive.
Right.
With some basic understanding of like what I guess like a thread of emotion is doing and where it's going, and I kind of like following it or chasing it and just trying things out. It doesn't always work. Sometimes things don't sound very good, but
it's normal. But then I feel like those fibers, wherever they are, neurons just learn how to fire quicker and quicker, so you're more able to pick up what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that the key to learn improvisation is just like improvising.
Yes, absolutely. Learn by doing.
Wow, so nice. So good. One last question about Fig and Improv Group. Do you also utilize guitar in there, or it's all keyboard and piano?
It's mostly keyboard and piano playing, but for a couple of shows I've played guitar. Like at the start of the year, there was a hybrid performance between playback theater and improv, which called for a more like intimate sound. Mm-hmm. So I chatted with the director, and then she said it might be a good idea to introduce some like guitar scoring in the background. And yeah, in that process, I was just kind of creating like soundscapes with the guitar rather than like playing actual songs or like riffs, if you will.
Yeah.
It was really just to create more tension and add some texture to the performance. But rarely do I use guitar in an improvised comedy setting, just because with piano, my knowledge of it is the most clear to me, so it's easier to work with.
But then again, guitar is your intuitive instrument more. So I was thinking, well, which one is easier?
Yeah, I think for me, with guitar, it's like maybe a bit more challenging to move widely across genres. Because sometimes with improv, we might have like a really cheesy love scene.
Yeah.
And then I'll put down some like 80s electric piano.
Right. There's also like the effects that need to be into consideration. You can have a grand piano sound. You can have, as you say, 80s something disco.
Yeah.
Guitar is limiting in this case, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. It's still possible, but I would have to, I think, work harder, and it would be a bit slower. And the kind of mood that I create with my guitar playing normally is like more, I guess, like calming or introspective.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not used to playing like really rambunctious things on the guitar, I guess, but I can on the piano.
But then again, props, you tried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I guess you have been writing songs for a long time, since you had all the necessary skills and knowledge and all that. Now, when did you decide to kind of like put it into a form and shape and just come up with an album?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming, just because I've been writing music ever since I was a teenager, so for over 20 years.
Oh.
And I've always just recorded like really rough demos on my phone, and I would share them with friends. And over time, as like SoundCloud became a thing and obviously social media, friends would ask me like, why don't you put your music on like an actual platform where people can listen, and people who are not just your friends and family. And I resisted this idea for many years. Yeah, because I consider myself quite a private person. And maybe back then there were some like confidence issues where I was like, oh, why would people want to listen to my music? Like that just won't even happen. But over time, I kind of really challenged myself, I guess, to put my music in one place. So it started off with just like posting guitar demos on SoundCloud and sharing them with people. And then it was only, I think, like 4 years ago that a friend just said, I created an Instagram account for you. No.
Pushed into your own account.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, friend.
Yes. So this friend was just, one night I had dinner with her and she was just like, look, it's your account. I was like, oh my gosh. And she was like, you have to do this. You can't avoid social media any longer. Yeah, so I became more intentional, I guess, from time to time, just like sharing things that I was working on or compositions that were coming to me. And then over the pandemic, I started recording playthrough videos where I would just be at home. And then it was a very creative time, actually. And then I would just like record these home videos of me playing guitar composition from start to finish.
Like your own or someone else's?
My own.
And then you would teach it to people?
I wouldn't teach it, but I would be like, oh, this is the tuning, and then like this is how I play it. So then if people were to want to play it, they could. But yeah, the idea behind doing these videos is just to document the creative process for me, especially because of my highly intuitive way of playing. And the fact that like every couple of years I'll change the tuning on my guitar.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to remember what I actually wrote.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, because I don't know if you know Church of Loops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys were here and they told me similar thing, that having an album and a direction was kind of good for them because they like to improvise a lot. And, you know, you never know where it goes. And if you don't kind of like document it, you will forget. And if you're put on like a limit, even in recording studio, or like, hey guys, let's make a 5-minute song, you kind of have to think about the structure more. Whereas if you're just noodling, playing around, you can make 30-minute fun tune for live, but it wouldn't necessarily maybe work for like a listener's ear on Spotify or something. It's different, you know what I mean? So I feel like having this, not even for the audience, but exactly as you say, for yourself, for documenting, kind of like going back to it and having like, oh, this song I can give it a label, I can give it a name, and it's kind of like from start to finish, it's a product.
Yeah, for sure. Something about the finiteness of it will push creative people, I guess, to think about what they're trying to do, and to just clarify structure and intent. And yeah, I think for many years I just recorded demos and I would just like throw them on my SoundCloud or like throw them on Instagram or whatever, but not really think about like, oh, how does this represent a body of work, or can this be put into an album? But yeah, I guess friends, again, maybe a different set of friends, the same friends, they're like, why don't you record an album? Like, you have enough material. So in the summer of 2022, so like 3 years ago now, I borrowed like a couple of mics from a friend and then just recorded everything that I had written in the 2 years before that. So from 2019 to 2022, I wrote like 2 albums worth of music, basically. And then with the help of loved ones, I just like recorded it from my bedroom and had all these raw files. And then they had been sitting there for 3 years. And then
fermenting.
Yeah. And this friend of mine here in Taiwan, he plays music himself, and he's very into like sound engineering. I think he mostly does like sampling and like electronic music actually. But he heard that I had recorded these files, and he was just like, oh, maybe I'll have a go with just mixing and mastering them, because it's probably not that, complicated work. It's probably going to just take some like reverb or, just cleaning things up. Yeah. So through that process of this friend being open to just working on the existing recordings, I was forced, or I was motivated to kind of just think about like, okay, which songs go together, and see the songs that I had written as like distinct pieces that document like the life I had back in those years when I wrote the music. So yeah, that's how the album came to be.
And it's very recent. Congrats.
Thank you.
After a long time, it's out.
Yeah, it's really been fermenting, as you said. And I think that's been, one of the challenges I've faced is just like gaining momentum behind a project and then holding myself accountable to, I guess, pushing a project forward. Because I guess with music as a kind of passion or hobby, it's not my living. I'm always just like, I'll just do it when I have time. So there isn't necessarily this prioritization around it usually. Yeah. So having some external pressure, friendly pressure from loved ones really, really helps. Where I said like, okay, it's going to be released this summer. And just worked around that, and creating a profile on Bandcamp and just sharing it with people. It was, surprisingly very satisfying.
Right. Yeah, just having something out there, like somebody asks, so you play music, can I hear something somewhere? And if you didn't bring your guitar, you'll be like, oh. But exactly. Now you're like, hey, here's
the link.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's all we have for today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. And come back next week where we're going to go more into details about Holly's songs. Have a good week.